We had a great morning, an amazing lunch, fabulous entertainment, some more amazing sessions, and now the pièce de résistance. I'm about to introduce a woman who became a very good friend back in 2022 when we were both presenting at a Rotary District conference. You know, thinking about Star Wars, I asked Celeste, who is your favorite Star Wars character? She said Yoda. This quote comes to mind when I think of Celeste. Yoda said, "Decide you must how to serve them best." I know, right? Decide you must how to serve them best. When I heard Celeste speak at that Rotary conference, powerful message I heard. Instant fan I became. Friends now are we. As I listened to her story about Days for Girls International, an award-winning organization with 70,000 volunteers in 145 countries, Celeste opened my eyes to realities I could not have imagined in my wildest dreams. Realities that affect women and girls all over the world. Celeste is a specialist in women's health and equity, building teams and bridging cultural divides. She has been featured in Forbes magazine, Oprah's O magazine, and has a very, very long list of awards and accolades celebrating her accomplishments and influence. Her #1 best-selling book, a book that I just finished reading this very week and listening to. She has a gorgeous voice, which you will experience shortly. The Power of Days, a book that you can get for yourself today. A book that one of you will be taking home, a signed copy as a gift from Celeste afterward. As you sit with your eyes and mind wide open, prepare yourself for an emotional, enlightening, and inspiring journey with my good friend, Celeste Mergens.
Aw, what a treat. Okay, how many of you are going, I'm gonna pop some tags, right? You know those moments when your whole life is about to change, only you don't know it yet? This is one of those moments. I had come with a friend to Kenya, and we were helping her with a school that she was founding. We were building the classrooms. We were focused on water and agriculture and power, and we were finding all ways to interact with the community, because this was to be owned by the community, not just something brought out from the inside, from the outside. And so we loved every moment of connecting. And there was a whole lot of learning to be done. And when we were searching for a sustainable solution for a health clinic, a friend and dignitary took us to the slums of Kibera, one of the largest informal dwellings spaces in the world. It's standing at the edge of it. It's like you're at the edge of a sea of corrugated metal that just stretches out in front of you. Millions of people in a relatively small space. And while there, he said, "Would you like to go see an orphanage that I support?" Now, my first response, of course, was no, because I was sure my heart would be broken. But I believe in saying yes. So I said yes. We all said yes. We end up at this orphanage, and I am smitten. So, of course, I had to bring the kind of sustainable solutions we were known for and about here at this school. So fast forward, we had been going for about 16 months, and post-election violence broke out in Kenya. Do you remember this? 2008, 500,000 people were displaced because the contest for the election was so close, everybody blamed the others for falsifying. 500,000 people in a peaceful land were displaced. And this orphanage went from a way too crowded 420 people to a reported 1,400 people. Now this is why I say reported. This is one of their rooms before this happened. Can you see that the bunk beds are end to end? Can you kind of see how there's another set back there? And they're side to side, 2 to 3 kids on each layer of the bunks. And I wanted to change that because it's unsafe. And then I learned now they're at 1,400 kids. There were 50 kids in a room. How do they have 1,400 now? But they needed everything. They needed food. They needed blankets. They needed everything. This wasn't our orphanage, but like I said, I was smitten. So we started fundraising. We had a car wash. We had a golf classic. We did all the things. And then came the day that we got an actual phone call from the headmaster. And he said, Celeste, we're completely out of food. And we have been for 2 days. Here I go. Now, that hit me, as you can see, hard. And there's a reason for that. I happen to be one of those people that knows what it's like to go for days as a child. I know what it's like to have every thought derailed back to food. You can't even focus. I know how it hurts, so I literally hit my knees. Tell me what to do. I will do anything. Just tell me what to do. I needed an idea because we had exhausted every resource. We had sent all of our resources. There was nothing left to do, and I was coming back in 3.5 weeks. I couldn't show up and they didn't have anything. And so I kept pleading. Nothing came to me, not even a bad idea, like the time we had a garage sale in October and it snowed and only 2 people came. Nothing came to me. I went to bed still pleading. And then I woke up at 2:30 in the morning with it going through my head, have you asked what the girls are doing for feminine hygiene? My husband Don can tell you, I went, I ran to the computer to ask, and I didn't expect an immediate answer because smartphones were only around since 2007. This was 2008. I didn't expect an immediate answer, but I got one, and all it said was nothing. They wait in their rooms. I tried to figure out how that's even possible, and it turned out they were sitting on pieces of cardboard for days. No way to leave the classroom, go to the classroom, no way to take care of themselves. And I wanted to help this so much that it took me 2 days to say, wait a minute, that's not even what I was asking. But I have happy news. We were able to raise money for food and single-use pads, and something else happened. Because of the experiences I had, I know what it's like to have to choose between food and something else. And I knew if we sent money the next month, and they needed food, and we sent money for pads, they would use it for food. And we all would, and that's the right choice. So how do you make something they could count on month after month? How do you do that? And oh, by the way, who teaches them what a period is? Oh, you can. I was not a world expert in this yet. I plan to be a scientist or an engineer or maybe a singer. But I never, ever thought I would grow up to be a world expert on sex and menstruation. And let's be honest, how many of you, when you heard or saw she's going to talk about menstruation, went, oh my word, what are they thinking? I mean, it's one of the world's biggest taboos. Literally, measurably, I hate to say this, we're going with 2 words you probably didn't expect to hear today. We would rather talk about diarrhea than menstruation. But it turns out, of course, that without periods, none of us would be here. Without periods, there would be no people. This is actually a superpower we all have in common. But around the world, it's something we don't talk about, and the results were bigger than I thought. Because when we got there, and these girls were there, here's what happened. We talked about how amazing their bodies are and how important they are and that they matter and their education matters, and who knows if they can be the next Wangari Maathai, the Nobel Peace Prize winner from Kenya. They could be the next one. We need them to be strong. And then they came up with these smiles. My husband Don had been out blowing bubbles with the boys while we were in there, 250 girls. in this room. Their cheers are echoing off the tin roof. And they're standing there with these smiles and said, thank you so much, because before you came, we had to let them use us if we wanted to leave the room and go to class. I was hoping that did not mean what I feared it meant. But there were 250 more girls coming out and 250 about to come in, 500 girls that had this need. Now, thank goodness we came up with a solution for them they could count on month after month. And it was washable pads. I'd never seen a washable pad ever in my life. But I was able to innovate it on the back of the trunk of our car and then passed it on to volunteers. And 500 volunteers over the next 3 weeks made 500 kits for these girls. Washable, that they could count on, and it was a really bad design, and I can say that because I designed it. But they had these smiles, and they said that they were being, afterwards they confirmed, sexually abused in exchange for a single-use disposable pad. And this was the moment Days for Girls was born. The next thing we knew, or that I didn't know, was 25% of women around the world and people with periods do not have what they need for menstrual care. 25%, an estimated 500 million people having limited days, less dignity, opportunity, education, and opportunity to be in their community with all of their strength. Because of this, even where we live, did you know this? Have you heard this? What does a homeless woman do? What does a girl who's a foster girl? What does a girl do that her family just is choosing between food and shelter? She doesn't say a word. She makes do. So all over the world, it turned out this was the issue. I didn't know that. Thankfully, we paid attention to the design. We asked for feedback because I also had another gift that came as a result of being someone who was, at times, without a home. Can I tell you what happened to me when I was about 5 years old? It was another moment that your whole life is about to shift a little, but you don't know it yet. And I have to admit that this moment, I used to think of awful for most of my life. It was only about 7 years ago that I went, that may have been the most profound lesson I ever learned. But here's what happened. I was walking along the state path where our family was stopping by on their way to the next place. And the sidewalk was shiny with the sun. Do you know how the silica does that? I was walking along, just staring and feeling the warmth of my feet, and along comes a white sparkly dog, and it had a rhinestone collar, and it twinkled all the way to the owner's hand, and I was mesmerized. And then in her hand was a half-eaten apple. And she threw the apple into the dumpster that happened to be right near where we were. And I was looking at the dumpster trying to think, could I get in and still get back out? Because it had been a long time since I'd had fruit and a little while since I'd eaten. So I was concentrating on that. When I got that feeling on the back of your neck, do you know what I'm talking, that someone's giving you the up and down? Sure enough, she's licking me up and down. She says, where are your shoes, girl? And I answered, because I replayed this over in my head about 4,000 times. I know exactly what I said. And I said, I'm toughening my feet. And then in that moment, it was like a mirror turned around, and I could sense what she saw when she looked at me. A little, unkept, small, hungry girl. And something from within me welled up, and I just had this feeling, I am not what you see. I am not from here. And this warm assurance, I wasn't. At 5 years of age, I got to be asked, are you the homeless girl? Are you the hungry girl, or are you something more? And honestly and truly, I had no shoes. And this is why. It was all my fault. I'm taking full ownership and responsibility. I had this habit of tipping my shoes out. Did any of you do that as a kid? I tipped my feet out, and so I was always wearing the ends out. And my mom had shaved them down as many times as she could shave them. And now I had no shoes. I wasn't in school. It wasn't a big deal. It was summer. I was enjoying the sidewalks. I had no shoes. But in that moment, it was like, are you this or something more? And then came this growing understanding we all are. We are all so much more than our titles, than our experiences, and our circumstances do not define us. So I got the gift of walking through this earth and my journey here to ask, what can I do to be part of your journey? What could we do together? What if we did this? It was usually outlandish, and people sometimes called me crazy. I used to ask if I could take over the family checkbook at age 10. I was sure I had a plan. But with Days for Girls, here's what happened. Not only did we create iterations, 30 iterations of how to make a washable pad that lasted month after month. It was supposed to last 2 to 3 years. Guess how long they're proving to last? Up to 7 years. And this is how you make a pad not look like a pad. I introduced to you the portable object of dignity, a pod. Thank you. You can make a pad that is soft and doesn't look like a pad, washes with very little water and dries quickly, and this is how you do that. And layer it with others, and there's a moisture barrier. And we learned this from the genius of those we served. Until now, this design holds 2 US patents because of listening to the genius of those you served. And volunteers all over the world did the completely impossible and came on board giving all their time and attention and talents to making washable pads for people. Can you imagine being in a store, at a fabric store, and they ask you, what is all this flannel and beautiful cotton in your cart? Because you can see they're colorful to hide stains. And they just say, oh, I'm making washable pads. Now, ironically, if you're helping put wells in, that's sexy. But doing this, who does that? 70,000 people in the last 15 years have said, me. They have changed lives with their own 2 hands all over the world. Here's Indonesia. And you see these smiles, this happens. I've seen people dance with them, hug them, laugh with them. I was standing over a girl once, and I took the survey ahead of time because we do monitoring and evaluation. That data is so important. And she wrote down, I use always. Always, that's what I use. And then when I came back around and I was the one that got the gift of passing her kit to her, along with a big group, mostly local, she said, oh, thank you. I won't have to use feathers anymore. I wanted to go, you little stinker. All over the world, mattress stuffing, stones, sitting on sand, staying in their room, corn cobs, corn husks, newspaper, a torn dress that they used to wear so that they can just stay in class. And one of my good friends, Alice in Kenya, she was a fabulous student, and she's a brilliant businesswoman today. And when she heard about Days for Girls, it hit her hard because she was a little girl who tried to stay in class, and then one day the teacher at the front said, hey, get up here and help on the chalkboard, and she stayed in her seat for the first time. And the teacher, thinking she was just being insolent, said, get up here. And instead, she just sat there. He slapped her across the face. And still, she did not rise. And then eventually, she turned her skirt around where she had a stain and nothing to do. She put her books over it, and she left from school and did not return for 5 days. She says she didn't get any scholarships because she was always having to miss. She was always falling behind, but she wouldn't give up and went on to get a degree. And when she heard about this, she said, choose me. And today, this amazing woman has reached over 20,000 people in her community, teaching, sharing, creating jobs all over. This is Lao, talking about something the community doesn't want to talk about. And yes, men too. We have a program called Men Who Know because you can't break one of the world's most prevalent taboos with just half of us. Okay, so I have a question for you. I call it the toilet paper test. Are you ready? Imagine you're at the grocery store. You put a bag of toilet tissue on the conveyor. Now imagine you've got a menstrual care products and you're putting on the conveyor. If there is any difference in the way you feel about that, who did that come from? Where did it start? Because you can be the people that make a new decision. There are a lot of things to change in our world, but this isn't one of them. Menstrual inequity and shaming is something we can change in our lifetime because we decided we're the ones. Our lifetimes, this is it. We didn't get to be here for the suffragette movement, but this one we've got. In remote areas of Kenya and Tanzania, there are Days for Girls ambassadors, and this is Malawi. This is my friend Yamikani, the one closest to the right in this, kind of a little a Princess Leah bun on the top. She is an enterprise leader there, and she employs people, making them and going out and teaching about Days for Girls. And one of them said that she's a single mom of 2 children. Her husband abandoned her, and in the community she's in, if someone's left, you don't have a way to support yourself. And so her job, she said, now we are building a stick house with my friends and with the support I have. Amazing that something could create, so small, could create such ripples of change. Once I was in northern Uganda, in Gulu. Have any of you ever been there? In Gulu, Uganda, there was a woman, and I asked her, how do you feel about your business? How is it going? How do you feel about what you're doing? And you know what she said? People know who I am. My children go to school, and we can eat every day. Are you surprised by the order of that? I was struck by the fact she didn't say, we eat every day, my kids go to school, and people know who I am and listen to me. Having the ability to teach, having the ability to break the stigma, having a business makes you visible in places where women are invisible. Who would have guessed? I didn't. Now this is Nepal. When we were working in Nepal, we were going to handle something very sensitive that they invited us to handle. And I got the gift of being there on the first day of the program being initiated in this area. Can I be honest? Sometimes I feel like the Forrest Gump of global health. I was following them. We got to be in a meeting with the Hindi pundits and the community leaders because we start there. And they got to show the education. And you can see they have the flip charts. You see holding charts where they're showing the illustrations and they're explaining about your health. This is your amazing body. This is what's really happening. And this was incredibly important here because here there's a practice called chapati. And it is where they believe you're untouchable. You can't, if someone's near you, if you're even on the pathway to your home or in your home, then you can cause illness or ill fortune or even death to your family. This is the belief. And so they wait in sheds like these. They're at risk of exposure. This is Nepal. Snake bites, asphyxiation, trying to stay warm there. And if you just had a baby, you're in there for 10 to 20 days because of basic biology. And they were ready to talk about this. They listened, they explained what it was like for them. One said, for 5 days, nobody talks with us. For 5 days, insect bite us. For 5 days, we cannot eat with our family because you are so untouchable that when they give you food, it's not regular food. It's not naan and curry. It's this little shallow, almost like a quiche pan that has crumbles of bread. And they get it to them, and then they push it and back up, and she leans out and pulls it to her. So they do not touch the plate at the same time. That untouchable. Now you might say, oh, come on, that can't be happening right now. And it has been against the law since 2005. And it's been a finable offense since 2018, but it keeps going on. Why? Why would you risk your family? Why would you risk your own life? For just a minute, consider if you don't know what a period is, everything we associate with blood is injury or illness, right? And for some of us, there's pain. If someone tells you you are a curse, are you going to believe this? And if you think you're going to harm your family, honestly, if you thought you were going to harm your family because of something you were doing, would you go to the shed to protect them? Could any law stop you? Could any fine stop you from protecting your family? They're not being awful. They're being heroes. But when you invite a conversation, amazing things happen. Now, before I go on about this, and explain to you what happened next. Raise your hand if you love being told what to do. Anybody? You do? I knew that would happen someday. I'll have to shake your hand after, because I don't. It's bad. Ask Don. You can invite me to do anything, and I will be wondering, I'll do it, right? But you tell me what to do, and it's like talons grow from my toenails into the ground, and I will not move. Do not tell me what to do. I don't know what that is. But invite me to go, I'm all in. When we're trying to get teenagers, cultures, bosses, co-workers to do something, if we tell them what to do and then start lecturing them, how effective is that? But if you consider, what do they want? You consider they're on this side, you're on this side, and before you start, okay, what's important to them? What matters to them, and what connects the two of us that we can talk about? Because this conversation is about them and how we can come to the table together, right? So when we went to talk with the Hindi pundits, we didn't come in and say, listen, it's against the law, what's wrong with you people? Because that's not going to get us anywhere, right? So instead, they shared the education, and at one spot in India, because it also happens in India, there's 20,000 estimated on the west of Nepal, but India and Pakistan, way more. And so we were talking with them, and in one case they said, is this true? Is this thing you're teaching true? He said, yes. Then why is my wife in the shed? And instead of saying, about time, the answer is, isn't that exciting? You can make a new decision. You can make a new decision. So here's what's been happening. I want to share with you before I do that one of the biggest ahas I've had. Do you see this narrow little ribbon of pathway up there on it? Do you see it on the far left? I was on that path. And what you need to know is that is a 1,000-foot drop. I have photographic evidence. Would you agree? 1,000 feet. And I'm going like this, trying to stay as close as I can to the side, because this is hairy. And then I'm trying to distract myself, so I'm looking at the mountains. Can you see how they're like going from purple to gray to kind of green? In the light, it was playing on them, and it was just beautiful. And I said, these mountains are beautiful. And she said, oh no, these aren't mountains, these are hills. Like, hey, we're in the neighborhood of Mount Rainier, and even here, these were mountains. Oh no, these are hills. I'm so glad I knew better than to correct, and this far in my global journey, to don't correct her. I knew that, and this is why. 2 days later, I was in the plane, snapped this with my cell phone, this photo. Below the cloud level are the mountain hills I was walking on. And above the clouds are the sisters of Everest. When you live in the neighborhood of Everest, those are not mountains. Those are mountains. Ooh. We all see different mountains based on our experience, based on what's happened in our life, based on our talents and our gifts. What if we welcomed each other's wisdom? I don't see it that way. Explain to me what you're seeing. Because there are a lot of things in this world that are dividing us right now. What if we said, ooh, explain to me? So as we shared with the community members, as they said, I said first, what if you ritually cleanse this pad instead of isolating them in the sheds? What if you kept all your rich tradition, but just ritually cleanse this? Would that work? The Hindi pundits stood up for 30 minutes each to say how it was time for the tradition to be honored in a new way, and they were behind it. The women went on from village to village, one community at a time, freeing them with products and education, community conversation, and in some communities, they started tearing down the sheds with their own 2 hands. This is the power of recognizing we all see different mountains. Teach me, what can we do together? Now, who knows this? Does anyone in this room know this? It could be a first. Would you believe me if I said that mobile currency was invented by these people? The Maasai of Kenya and Tanzania. Here's what happened. If you've been there, they're walking along and they have a staff in the red traditional robes, and their livestock are being shepherded around with them, and in one hand they have a cell phone. It's really a little disturbing the first time you see it, but here's what happened. Have you seen these cell phone minutes that you scratch off the little scratch card and then you put the numbers into the phone and then you buy more cards? This thing, good, a few of you have. Well, they were buying the minutes and using them to trade. I will give you 3,500 cell minutes for your goat. No, 3,600. Okay. The founder of M-Pesa mobile currency in Kenya, there's a lot of informal banking right there. He knew the need, he felt the need, he invented M-Pesa. And it was only after that Silicon Valley came over from eBay. Only after that. If you were going to say, we need to invent a new kind of currency interaction, let's go with the Maasai. This is equally true for all of us. Never let anyone tell you that you are unqualified for the change you want to see in the world. Never. Days for Girls started in 2008. In 2010, catastrophe hit our family. I had a seizure that felt like snake bites and lightning bolts all happening at once in my head. My family rushed me to the hospital. I picture it in almost the blinking off and on of a film going by slowly. Do you know what I mean? Like the old kind of film. It's like Shuttered. I hear my daughter saying, "Are you okay?" And then it's black. And then I hear Don, the doctor's coming in, black. This went on for 45 minutes. They were about to life flight me, and it stopped. I spent the night at the hospital, and I was released. But my brain had taken such a hit that for 3 months, I couldn't walk without, if I blinked, I fell to the left. And so I walked around like this, holding onto walls, because my brain would just tilt. I couldn't read because my eyes didn't work together right anymore. And I couldn't quite speak right. I would keep saying, "I sound normal." And my husband would say, "Oh, no, you don't. Your speech is slurred." I remember one time, I was in the kitchen, I was being stubborn. It had been months, and I was so tired of being in bed, so tired of only being able to sit. Right? So I went to do something that, of course, would be your first choice, do the dishes. And I'm holding on to the counter, and I'm doing the dishes, and Dawn comes up, "What are you doing?" "Doing the dishes." "Well, you aren't okay right now. You're slurring your speech." "No, I am not." And then the next thing, my son's saying, "Yes, you are." And the next thing I see, I am laying on the ground looking up. And Reed says, "I told you so." I was not okay. It was not fun. And then I was really discouraged. And I came to the point when, I have read a lot of books in my life. I've done a lot of amazing things. I have an amazing family. Maybe this is it. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay after a whole year of fighting it and hoping. And then I started getting better. What is that, by the way? Why is it only when we let go that things shift? Have you seen this to be true? What is that? And knowing that, why don't we do it in 30 seconds? Letting go now. I don't know what that is. But here's the amazing thing. The woman that went on to listen, to travel, to work with these people, learned something really important. You don't have to make a tremendous shift in things that are great challenges in one big leap. Because great challenges are just opportunities in disguise, and all you have to do is hold the vision and take the next best step, even when it's a baby step. Right? This is what I learned, because we are not alone. We can invite others to come, and people stepped up and started answering the phones with me, started answering the emails with me, and Days for Girls didn't shrink, it grew. And it went on to reach refugees, over 400,000. And this happened. A year later, I was able to travel again, and I was in Zimbabwe. We were meeting with the Minister of Education. You don't miss that meeting, by the way. We were meeting with him, and it was miraculous. But we had promised to go to a remote village, so remote that we had to leave at 3 in the morning so we could travel the good roads and then hit off the tarmac by sunlight, right? And we thought, we can do it. We can be back in time. We can do it. But the roads were way worse than I thought. I mean, just get out of the car and let them drive a little bit bad, right? These ruts were like car-eating ruts. And then we got to the place where the girls were way later than we thought. And the girls were waiting, only it wasn't just the 200 girls we were expecting, it was hundreds. And here's the worst news, we only had time to do one group of 75. So the other girls are leaning in the windows and leaning in the doors, and they're saying, me, choose me. It was heartbreaking. But we didn't have a choice. So we leave the fabric as token, we're coming back, and Linda promised she would. She couldn't come back for 4 months. When she got there, she says, okay, let's go. Where's the fabric? And they said, it's gone. She said, what? Where did it go? And they said, it's been made into those kits you showed us one time. Has anyone here ever volunteered with Days for Girls? Oh, thank you. Imagine one time. This is a labor of love. Thank goodness they last 7 years, right? And who did that? It was 12-year-old Goatsu with a pink striped shirt. 12-year-old Goatsu. When asked, how do you feel? What does that mean to you? Do you know what she said? She said, I am no longer an orphan. I am a leader of women. It doesn't matter your circumstances, how small you are, what your talents are, what your health is. It only matters that you take the next best step and you invite others to come along for the journey. You don't have to go it alone. This is one of my favorite moments of Days for Girls. I was in Malawi. And this woman, does anyone know her? This is Chief Teresa. She's provincial chief over 900,000 people. She didn't want to be a chief. She was a secretary of a university, like secretary, not secretary, right? And she's like, no, thank you. But they kept asking. She goes, okay, 2 conditions. 1, we eliminate and I will annul any child marriage. This is one of the places that has the highest child marriage rate in the world. And 2, this practice called dusting off ends. If you want me, those are my 2 conditions. They said yes. And so she became the traditional chieftain. And they called her the Terminator. When I was with her, because she terminates marriages, right? And when I was with her, I said, how does that go? Do they support you in this? Oh, no. I get death threats every day. And I tell them, I am too busy today, tomorrow. You love that? This woman brought Days for Girls. And the First Lady of Malawi and the Minister of Gender. And I got to be in this circle. See, I told you. And then Forrest Gump of global health. And I was here, and can you see under this big tree on the left, there are 600 girls that received kits and education the day before. And then a circle of community, thousands, really, like 2,000 people. And this is a minister of gender, and she is letting them have it. She's saying, listen, no more marrying the girls off for trinkets. Mothers, keep them. Their treasure is your future, their education. Keep them in school. And then she let the fathers have it, and the teachers have it, and everybody have it. And the cameraman's like, and then he looks back in. And then as she's talking, she started telling the girls, you're our future. You have to choose to be strong. You have to choose, you know what you know. You have to choose. And I watched this little swirl of wind. Do you know what I mean? And it was going up with little pieces of debris, and it got like 15 feet high. And I'm watching, wondering if anyone else saw this, right? And it comes up, and it released over their heads. And they're brushing them off. And I thought, they're brushing their own heads off. Thank you very much. And here's why that matters. The brushing off tradition is that when you start your period, you are considered in need of ritual cleansing. You are sent to an elder man called a hyena, who now puts you at risk of pregnancy and infection to purify you from your period starting. This is the practice she was saying no more to. And on this moment, They were dusting their own heads off as thousands agreed, no more shame, no more stigma. We're standing together. And I have to tell you, that night, I have had moments, have you, when I was too excited to sleep, right? I've had moments I was too anxious to sleep, but I've never had a moment that I was too happy to sleep. Okay, I'm going to read to you a part of the book, and I have this slide, and it's got an important thing on it. It's got a handout about gratitude, because in that moment I felt so gratitude. So if you want to scan the QR code while I grab a page I'm going to read for you from the book, The Power of Days. I'm going to tell you how miraculous this is. But this is what happened after that. And I'd love your feedback as Toastmasters. You're legit. I'm not a Toastmaster yet. I can see I'm going to have to redeem my ways. Okay, so here's what happened. Months later, a WhatsApp message came in from Yami Kani of the Malawi team, who had traveled on down many treacherous roads far from the place I'd last seen them. As the team was packing up to go after our kickoff event at Chilambando Primary School ground, a group of boys lingered around, and one of the girls that had attended our ambassador health training and received the kit was walking past the boys. Malandira Kumende, you have received a package, one of the boys called out. His friends jeered rudely. The girl was not embarrassed. Instead, she faced them and said to their face, Nalandire Kumene, yes, I have received. And I will proudly carry it without shame, because I've learned today that menstruation is not something to be ashamed of. I need to embrace it and be proud of it, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. She then strolled away, a victory smile on her face, and this made the team so proud to know that we had made a huge impact on the life of a girl who could now be so brave. This can happen when we come together. That was Yami Kani. Remember the one with Princess Leia bun on the top of her head? That was Yami Kani. And this is the book you just saw, The Power of Days. Can I tell you something important for you to know? Not because of me, not because of the book, but because of you. Can we please note for a moment that the girl with no shoes went on to walk beside world leaders, and in this case by Chief Teresa on the shores of Monkey Bay, barefoot in the sand, as she shared with me how much this meant to her community. The girl and woman who could not read wrote an international best-selling book that went on to be #1 by day 2, #5 audio by day 5, and has over 130 5-star reviews. And I'm saying this because I could not read at all. And I thought it was over. I thought my season was done. There's this beautiful thing called season, and it's never too late. This is a look I had when Bimbella Books sent the book to my porch, and I held it because I know the miracle. Man, our lives are amazing when we say yes. Say yes. When the odds are 1 in a million, remember, you are enough. No, better yet, we are enough. You are not alone. We have this thing called power of we. Here's the good thing. You know how we all have weaknesses and strengths? And what happens when we're thinking about our weakness? That's all we see. We hardly see our strengths, right? And we're like, my weaknesses. Please note, don't ask me my weaknesses. But the truth is, when puzzle pieces are square, they're not puzzle pieces. They're not strong. They shift easily. But when we have notches in the puzzle, it's like our weaknesses and strength. You're good at this. I'm good at that. You're good at this. Let's come together. Your weaknesses are the reason we can come together. Your weaknesses hold your strengths. Your strengths hold your weaknesses, and it all matters in the beautiful, perfectly formed package that sees your own mountains. You matter, your voice matter, your actions matter. You are an important part of this puzzle here on earth. You know, when your whole life is about to change, you know, I have to say, do you remember what happened to Steve Jobs when just before he started the iPad and the iPhone. Who remembers what happened? What do you hear? You're fired, right? And Mark Randolph, before he innovated Netflix, guess what they said? They said, that will never work. He's the co-founder of Netflix. And one of my favorite was Mike Posner, and he said, he's a pop singer, and he said, not all crazy ideas are great, but all great ideas are crazy. When Days for Girls started, people said I was crazy. This couldn't be happening in 2008. It was a crazy idea. You can't reach every girl everywhere, period. Let's be measurable and practical. That's not achievable. 3.268 million women and girls in 145 countries on 6 continents later. I get to be with you, and here's what I have to say today. Let's get crazy, and may the force be with you. Thank you. Thank you. Aww. Thank you. Aww. Gave me chills. Thank you, my friends. Thank you.
Well, Celeste, it's our lucky day because you finished a few minutes early. Which means that we could take a question or two from the audience for you.
I'm game
before we do the book giveaway.
Okay, deal.
Raise your hand if you have a burning desire to ask Celeste a question. Oh, okay, we have a couple.
Celeste, I'm wondering, how is it that you can go into a community and tell them, or even educate them, that they've been wrong, that this menstruation is perfectly natural and it's not dangerous? You're going against centuries of beliefs.
Right?
Did you run into resistance?
Oh. Actually, it really is time. The time has come. That's part of it, right? But the other thing is, there is a price on my name, on my head in Kenya. I don't know if it's 50 shillings, but there is. But the truth is, the secret is 2 things. Invite the local partnership. We did that from the beginning. 1, because they know what is and isn't allowed and what's appropriate. And then 2, be humble. Don't tell them what to do. Ask them, what do you know about this? Can I tell you, I once was in Kisii, Kenya, and I was invited to be with the female genital cutters. Do you know what this is? Okay, so we were invited to talk with them, and I'm like, oh, like they're going to want to hear from me. Like that, oh, that's relevant, right? And they assured me, no, your women's health, they value your words, and we have 92% of girls being cut here in Kisii. Now, they said that couldn't be true because it was against the law. But they assured me, no, 92%. So I studied, what does this mean? How does it happen? And you can read about it in the book more. But fast forward, we get in the room, and my goal wasn't to say, you guys, come on. And by the way, I expected 8 people, maybe, for the county of Kisii. The room was like a third of this room full of women, all of them women, who were the cutters. And I didn't tell them what to do, I invited them. I said, you are leaders in your community, even the highest paid. Who are we to tell you what to do? And I asked them to tell me about it, right? And then I said, what if you kept your incredible traditions and just cut the cut? And we had ribbons to say, these ribbons say that we believe women are beautiful and powerful naturally. You are beautiful and powerful naturally. And they all agreed. And 3 days later, there was a gathering, and they actually declared that they were laying down their knives. Not all of them, only 6 of them. And the result was a 30% drop in just 2 months in the practice. Now, what's remarkable about this is they came up and said, sorry about the long answer. They came up and said, you are actually, our daughters, husbands, went to others who bring AIDS back to our daughters. And this is why we're laying down our knives. I didn't know that. I didn't say that. I just said, what if? They knew that all along, but others coming in had shamed them instead of inviting them. And the difference was that they owned it. So people support what they create. Let others create the solution, be the partner. And I think having people treat me as a child and young adult as invisible, as lesser, and I taught me, no, you listen. And so when I come into a community, there is no part of me wanting to fix them, wanting to shame them. I'm just like, ooh, let's go. And I think they can feel that.
Because I'll just say one thing, because the part of their tradition that was beautiful, that you encourage them to keep, is a celebration of a girl becoming a woman. Dancing, singing, many beautiful things, and then one thing that's hard to talk about. So,
yeah.
Huge win.
And there's more about it in the book. I don't want to keep you all day, although
Must
I'm happy
read.
to anytime.
We have one more question.
Yes?
How can we individually get involved? I have a friend who does sewing for your program. How can other people here, if they want to get involved, how can they do that?
Thank you for that question. I didn't pay her to say that. I really didn't. Okay, so this is a website of Days for Girls. There are local chapters all over the world. You can find one near you and help them. You can contribute to Days for Girls as little as $13. Reaches a girl with the education in her community, provides jobs, so it's kind of a big deal all over the world. And pass the word. Will you take the toilet paper test and tell other people too also? Like, pass the word. Let's not be ashamed of that. Let's break that in our generation. Are you taking the challenge? Are you accepting it? Yes. Thank you.
We have time for one more.
Ooh.
Saeed.
So, great work, very inspirational. What I want to know is, women, girls are controlled by men, brothers, husbands. How does the education reach the men's side of the people that are going?
Very carefully. Okay, so this is what we do. It's incredible. Okay, so coming into communities, we'll find the leaders, right? And we invite the women to tell us who the leaders are. Because it's not always who you think it is. You have to ask them, who's the leaders? And then we have a program, and it starts out with, where are you strong? And then, of course, they're here and here, but also here. And what are the leaders you admire? And then they go through what characteristics they have. And they decide, that they can have these characteristics. And then there's one form of leadership that can give back more strength to your whole family, your communities, and it's taking ownership of health knowledge. Would you be interested in being a leader and sharing health knowledge? And then and tell them this is what we're talking about. And they stay. And then we had one man who is a headmaster at his school. And his wife was mad because he was coming for training on a Saturday and he'd been there all week. So she's like, right, okay, you're gone all week and now conveniently you're going on Saturday. So he came back and he said, I didn't know you were going through this. Are you going through this? You haven't asked me for money for this. Are you having trouble with this? And she said, yes, and our daughters are too. This is why we're missing school. And he said, why didn't you tell me this? I'm going to give you money for that, and I'm going to give you extra money so you can get the things that you need because you shouldn't have to come to me. And she said, when do you go back to this class again? True story. He told us when he came back the next day.
Well, I can tell you, I bought Celeste's book in written form. I realized it takes me a long time to read a book, so I bought it in audio form as well. I told Celeste my goal is to have it listened to before today and to provide a 5-star review, which I did. So now you have 138 or 9 5-star reviews. Celeste has brought books for you to purchase if you'd like to get a signed copy. She will be in the lobby at 4 o'clock when we close here until 4:30 or as long as you need her here. You can ask her questions, yes. But the question now becomes, Celeste, who will be taking home that book?
Oh, we need a drum roll.
And
the winner is?
And the winner is... Olga Shin.
Olga! She's over here.
Olga!
Olga!
Wonderful.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
We need a picture. You need to. Can we pose for a picture?
Congratulations.
Right here, right on the corner. Olga,
Oh,
Olga, come
Olga,
back
we
here.
get a photo.
Right here, right on this corner. You just tell them what you want them to do, and I'll get out of the picture.
Okay. Yay.
Yes, perfect.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, my friend, one more round of applause, please. Aren't we fortunate? What a day.